Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. It always seems impossible until it's done. I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear. A winner is a dreamer who never gives up. There is no passion to be found playing small and settling for a life that is less than the one you are capable of living. Do not judge me by my successes. Judge me by how many times I fell down and got back up again. Resentment is like drinking poison and then hoping it will kill your enemies. For to be free is not merely to cast off one's chains, but to live in a way that respects and enhances the freedom of others. I am not a saint unless you think of a saint as a sinner who keeps on trying. After climbing a great hill, one only finds that there are many more hills to climb. It is said that no one truly knows a nation until one has been inside its jails. Overcoming poverty is not a task of charity, it is an act of justice. Poverty is not an accident, like slavery and apartheid. It is man-made and can be removed by the actions of human beings. There can be no keener revelation of a society's soul than the way in which it treats its children. We must use time creatively and forever realize that the time is always ripe to do right. Live life as though nobody is watching, and express yourself as though everyone is listening. The greatest glory in living lies not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. Lead from the back and let others believe they are in front. What counts in life is not the mere fact that we have lived. It is what difference we have made to the lives of others that will determine the significance of the life we lead. A good head and a good heart are always a formidable combination. There is nothing like returning to a place that remains unchanged to find the ways in which you yourself have altered. I am fundamentally an optimist, whether that comes from nature or nurture. I cannot say part of being optimistic is keeping one's head pointed toward the sun, one's feet moving forward. To deny people their human rights is to challenge their very humanity. I dream of an Africa which is in peace with itself. There is no easy walk to freedom anywhere, and many of us will have to pass through the valley of the shadow of death again and again before we reach the mountaintop of our desires. Let freedom reign, the sun never set on so glorious a human achievement. We must strive to be moved by a generosity of spirit that will enable us to outgrow the hatred and conflicts of the past. A fundamental concern for others in our individual and community lives would go a long way in making the world the better place we so passionately dream of. It is in your hands to create a better world for all who live in it. May your choices reflect your hopes, not your fears. Man's goodness is a flame that can be hidden but never extinguished. Where you stand depends on where you sit. I like friends who have independent minds because they tend to make you see problems from all angles. One cannot be prepared for something while secretly believing it will not happen. A good leader can engage in a debate, frankly and thoroughly, knowing that at the end he and the other side must be closer and thus emerge stronger. We must work together to ensure the equitable distribution of wealth, opportunity, and power in our society. I detest racialism because I regard it as a barbaric thing, whether it comes from a black man or a white man. There is nothing more difficult than waking someone who is only pretending to be asleep. Peace is the greatest weapon for development that any person can have. When the water starts boiling, it is foolish to turn off the heat. The power of education extends beyond the development of skills we need for economic success. It can contribute to nation building and reconciliation. As long as poverty, injustice, and gross inequality persist in our world, none of us can truly rest. Sometimes it falls upon a generation to be great. You can be that great generation. Let your greatness blossom. It is wise to persuade people to do things and make them think it was their own idea. Courageous people do not fear forgiving for the sake of peace. When people are determined, they can overcome anything. It is what we make out of what we have, not what we are given, that separates one person from another. Our march to freedom is irreversible. We must not allow fear to stand in our way. I have walked that long road to freedom. I have tried not to falter. I have made missteps along the way. A nation should not be judged by how it treats its highest citizens, but its lowest ones. Real leaders must be ready to sacrifice all for the freedom of their people. The true character of a society is revealed in how it treats its children. The purpose of freedom is to create it for others. In my country, we go to prison first and then become president. In some ways, it is easier to be a dissident, for then one is without responsibility. You will achieve more in this world through acts of mercy than you will through acts of retribution. If you want to make peace with your enemy, you have to work with your enemy, then he becomes your partner. There can be no greater gift than that of giving one's time and energy to helping others without expecting anything in return. I have always believed exercise is a key not only to physical health but to peace of mind. The greatest glory in living lies not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall.